down to 42nd Street. This is a massive New Year's Eve crowd with 1 minute and 30 seconds left. Listen to the music build. Podium. Listen to them. The ball is beginning to move. They can feel it. They know it. In 47 seconds, it will be 2,000. You're in Times Square with a couple of million intimate friends. 35 seconds. They're ready in 30. Get close to somebody you love. In 25 seconds, it'll be the new year. In 20 seconds. And we're going to count it down from here down when we get to 10. Are you ready? Happy New Year early. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy 2000!
Which bring together in one place some of the technology we have witnessed around the world today, reminding us of how extraordinary this fascination is with technology as we go into the 21st century. It is just as it was as we entered the 20th century.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Break down, baby.
Instruction. You must stay at home.
This morning, millions of us returned to work to discover that the Millennium Bug appeared to be having no significant impact at all on Britain's computer systems, leading some to suggest that the danger posed by the bug had always been grossly exaggerated.
There still exists a general state of either denial, complacency, or even apathy about both the reality and the potential effects of Y2K.
You don't have to be a computer boffin to be alarmed by the Millennium Bug, so the experts warn, because so much of daily life is computer dependent.
That was a dragon's breath shell. It can shoot a 4,000-degree flame 300 feet. It's also the most popular ammunition among Y2K customers at KGS Guns and Ammo.
I have been saying for several years that this was being overblown as a problem.
In the centre, Trezeguet! France have won the European Championship to add to the World Cup.
In Russia today, the clear winner of the Russian presidential election, Vladimir Putin, began to establish the Putin era.
Vladimir Putin, the career spy, talks about establishing what he calls a dictatorship of the law, fight corrupt bureaucrats, and strengthen the central government.
Amid the splendor, we found some of the hard realities of Russia today. Maria Semyonova is 80 and has to live in a communal flat with 31 other people. They share one bathroom, one kitchen, and 2 malfunctioning toilets in a place which was built 100 years ago as a hostel for factory workers.
Надо все-таки справедливых сажать, чтобы хоть мы открыли бы глаза и пожили бы хоть немножко по справедливости, по честности.
It was a long night around the nation for the thousands who lined up for the launch of PlayStation 2, enough to make retailers nervous.
Oh, look, I think I'm going to get lynched with that crowd out the front. It looks like we're sold out.
Despite the latest skirmishes today, the killing appears to have abated, although the tension most certainly has not. On the streets of West Bank cities today, we watch the virtually inevitable clashes between Israeli troops and Palestinian stone throwers. Talk on the streets of a diplomatic summit is judged to be meaningless. At a funeral this lunchtime for a young man shot dead yesterday by Israeli forces, the call was for revenge. Down with the olive branch, they shouted. Long live the rifle.
The imminent summit is unlikely to calm the emotions and passions here. And even if a ceasefire is secured, the trust has vanished. The goodwill has been shattered.
This has been a time of dramatic transformation, and you have risen to every new challenge. You have made our social fabric stronger, our families healthier and safer, our people more prosperous. You, the American people, have made our passage into the global information age an era of great American renewal. In all the work I have done as president, every decision I have made, every executive action I have taken, every bill I have proposed and signed, I've tried to give all Americans the tools and conditions to build the future of our dreams in a good society with a strong economy, a cleaner environment, and a freer, safer, more prosperous world. America has been a force for peace and prosperity in every corner of the globe. I'm very grateful to be able to turn over the reins of leadership to a new president, with America in such a strong position to meet the challenges of the future.
Again, get ready.
This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the two towers. A huge explosion now, raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the...
Just a moment ago, the entire top of the building collapsed. You can see a massive plume of smoke. People are running away from the area. There are firefighters and there are police trying to evacuate the area as quickly as possible. People who are near the area are in an absolute frenzied situation. The entire top of the building just collapsed. You can see the plume of smoke is coming in our direction. Let's get out of here, Ralph.
You've had an impact on the skyline of New York. What is it like as you see it now?
It's like a whole different skyline. It's like a whole different city and world. I cannot believe the sight of Lower Manhattan without the World Trade Center, and therefore we have to rebuild, not necessarily in that form, but we have to rebuild at least as good and maybe better.
Is the jihad directed against the U.S. government or United States troops in Arabia? What about U.S. civilians in Arabia or the people of the United States?
This is a day when all Americans from every walk of life unite in our resolve for justice and peace. America has stood down enemies before, and we will do so this time. None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in our world.
On my orders, the United States military has begun strikes against Al-Qaeda terrorist training camps and military installations of the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. These carefully targeted actions are designed to disrupt the use of Afghanistan as a terrorist base of operations and to attack the military capability of the Taliban regime. We are joined in this operation by our staunch friend, Great Britain. Other close friends, including Canada, Australia, Germany, and France, have pledged forces as the operation unfolds. More than 40 countries in the Middle East, Africa, Europe, and across Asia have granted air transit or landing rights. Many more have shared intelligence. We are supported by the collective will of the world.
iPod, 1,000 songs in your pocket. It's pretty amazing. iPod.
There it is, right there.
This is us. Here we are. Trudeau begins March 31st on CBC. Brought to you in part by Canadian Tire.
For 300 million Europeans, from grocery shoppers in France to bankers in Germany, today was the first workday for their new common currency, the euro. Consumers across Europe appear to be taking the changeover in stride. Many made their daily purchases today using the new currency.
Do you find it difficult to understand the new notes?
Not really. I'm not a stupid man, you know. But it's getting used to it, you know.
We're very pleased, so far so good. But that's why we were saying to people, be patient and be friendly and allow yourself a little extra time, and that's still good advice.
Good evening. This is a special 7 News bulletin with the latest on the Bali bomb blasts. The death toll from the two explosions at Kuta Beach stands at 187. The Australian consul in Denpasar has confirmed 7 Australians are among the dead, but warns the number is likely to rise. More than 300 people were injured in the attacks. At least a third of them are Australian.
As the death toll continues to soar, the heartache is setting in for rescue workers. The job now, removing bodies from the smouldering rubble. Local hospitals are filled with the injured, many suffering horrendous burns, and those trying to find friends and relatives.
Initial suspicion has fallen on a shadowy group known as Jamal Islamiyah.
And I suspect that whatever group did this is in sympathy with Al-Qaeda without necessarily being controlled by it.
July 1st, 2002, the only permanent criminal tribunal set up to try genocide, crimes against humanity and war crimes came into force. So far, the Office of the Prosecutor has failed to pursue any investigations outside Africa.
Iraq continues to flaunt its hostility toward America and to support terror. The Iraqi regime has plotted to develop anthrax and nerve gas and nuclear weapons for over a decade. This is a regime that has something to hide from the civilized world. States like these and their terrorist allies constitute an axis of evil, arming to threaten the peace of the world by seeking weapons of mass destruction. I will not stand by as peril draws closer and closer. The United States of America will not permit the world's most dangerous regimes to threaten us with the world's most destructive weapons.
Colleagues Conference, President Clinton.
Tony Blair may say George Bush is much misunderstood, but Bill Clinton is his soulmate. It was Clinton who was the inspiration for many of the ideas and campaigning tactics behind New Labour. And Conference welcomed him not just as a former Democrat president, but as a comrade in arms.
It's also fun to be in a place where our crowd is still in office, and I'm glad to be here. Here we are in this interdependent world of open borders, easy travel, mass migration, universal access to information and technology, drenched in global media. I have a difference in opinion with the Republicans about whether we should be involved in the Kyoto Protocol, the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, the International Criminal Court, all these things. But these things stand for something larger, which is our larger obligation to create an integrated world. You can't have an integrated world and have your say all the time. And America can lead the world toward that but we can't dominate and run the world in that direction. To the people of the land I have loved so well, keep your eyes on the prize and don't turn back.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger. On my orders, coalition forces have begun striking selected targets of military importance to undermine Saddam Hussein's ability to wage war.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Peter Jennings at ABC News headquarters. In the words of a flight director at NASA, it has been a bad day. 7 astronauts have died, their families shattered. The space program has been dealt a terrible blow. The larger family of men and women in space exploration devastated. And the country has been reminded how dangerous it is, and that for all of America's technological genius, it doesn't always work. Columbia was at 200,000 feet, going 12,500 miles an hour when it suddenly broke up under stress that we still do not understand. 16 minutes from home.
We've begun the search for hidden chemical and biological weapons and already know of hundreds of sites that will be investigated.
Nice, you like it? Yeah, fantastic.
The transition from dictatorship to democracy will take time, but it is worth every effort. Our coalition will stay until our work is done.
SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome. And as new cases emerge, quarantines expand, and the disease spreads to North America, the consequences are multiplying.
Frankly, the state of our quarantine laws in this country is a patchwork of 50 different laws, and there's a lot of anxiety about whether or not public health officials could really step in swiftly and isolate and quarantine large numbers.
Well, in that sense, Cece, I've been wondering if this, in a strange way, is almost the kind of dress rehearsal for what might happen if smallpox or some other bioterror weapon were used against the United States.
Sure, absolutely. And maybe that's a little bit of a silver lining to all of this right now. It's a drill, but they're also spotting the weaknesses.
What was it like in that hole where Saddam Hussein spent his last moments as a free man? We're going to take you inside in a moment. But first, we introduce you to the man who got Saddam. Colonel James Hickey has been putting the puzzle together one piece at a time for months. He launched 12 raids against the Iraqi dictator before Saturday night's capture. Today, Colonel Hickey took Scott Pelley to the site of Saddam's last stand and told us about the army he sent to catch a man.
It's Happy Tuna. Saddam's kitchen. Well, for some time, I guess. There has been criticism that the term mission accomplished has been applied to this far too soon. But now that he's been pulled out of this hole, the mission accomplished?
Well, there's work to be done, and we're not done yet.
Is this perhaps the next big thing? In Hartford, Dan Stillman, co-creator of Wesleyan University's Westmatch.com, and then in Watertown, Massachusetts, Mark Zuckerberg, creator of Harvard's TheFacebook.com. Mark, if somebody was to put the question to you about the magnitude of what you think you've launched, how big do you think your product or your service is?
Well, it's impossible to tell. When we first launched, we were hoping for, maybe 400, 500 people. Harvard didn't have a Facebook, so that's the gap that we were trying to fill. And now we're at 100,000 people, so who knows where we're going next.
Jesus Christ, look at that. I know, I can see it. That wave is a good 15, 20 feet tall. Easy. Get in!
In Kosovo Polje, we found Irish peacekeepers trying to keep the two sides apart. Their orders sound simple: to restore calm. In practice, it's far harder.
Extremely difficult. Most of the Serb houses have been burned, Serb churches, etc. Places where Serb people live. So we're in here to try and restore some order.
For the autograph hunters, Russia's retiring president was the man of the hour. At the NATO summit, results made him the man of the week. And as other leaders departed, he grabbed attention on the final day. President Bush had demanded the former Soviet republics of Ukraine and Georgia be set immediately on the NATO route with membership action programs.
It doesn't contribute to trust and predictability in our relations on an entirely new level. The appearance of a powerful military bloc along our borders would be taken in Russia as a direct threat to the security of my country.
I mean, look, I'm going to meet with President Putin to make it clear to him the Cold War is over and Russia's not our enemy.
Hey, coming up next, are you a budding movie maker looking to strut your stuff? Well, we'll show you where to upload and share your videos for the world to see coming up right after this break. Stay here.
On the 2nd of April 2005, Pope John Paul II, the third longest-serving pontiff in history, died at the age of 84.
So Amber's here to show us one of her favorite sites online that lets you upload, tag, and share your video with the rest of the world, or just family and friends if you prefer.
Yes, the site's called youtube.com, and that's Y-O-U, and it's just a place where you can go. It's kind of like Flickr for videos, if you think of it like that, because you're actually able to tag your videos. And here we go. This is the homepage of youtube.com. You can see it
looks like Flickr.
It does look like Flickr. I know they've copied it a little bit, like recently viewed videos, and then you have all the tags along the right-hand side here. It's just a fun little way to easily share videos, and if you want to share videos that are under 100 megs for free and be able to do a bunch of different things with them, youtube.com is the best place that I've.
On the 16th of February 2005, the enforcement of the Kyoto Protocol on climate change was finally introduced. More than 140 countries signed up to it and pledged to cut emissions of carbon and other greenhouse gases by 5.2%.
On August 24th, 2005, at 10:30 p.m., Hurricane Katrina made its first landfall in southeast Florida.
Good evening. I'm speaking to you from the city of New Orleans. Nearly empty, still partly underwater, and waiting for life and hope to return.
And subtle, but in even many ways more profoundly devastating, is the lasting damage to the survivors' will to rebuild and remain in the area. The destruction of the spirit of the people of southern Louisiana and Mississippi may end up being the most tragic loss of all.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
Please call.
Reports are just coming in of an explosion at Liverpool Street Station here in London.
Everyone thought they were going to die. People started saying prayers, praying to God, panicking, breaking the carriage windows with their bare hands, anything to get oxygen into the carriage.
It's reasonably clear that there have been a series of terrorist attacks in London. There are obviously casualties, both people that have died and people seriously injured. And our thoughts and prayers, of course, are with the victims and their families. Thank you.
The man was Le Chiffre, private banker to the world's terrorists, which would explain how he could set up a high-stakes poker game at Casino Royale in Montenegro.
Is Joseph Kony a god? Is he a god?
Not God, but he has a spirit.
It's impossible to kill Joseph Kony.
Yeah.
Even if I shot him here, right in the chest, would he die?
No.
He cannot die.
No.
Joseph Kony's war with President Museveni's Ugandan government has seen more than 25,000 people killed and 2 million displaced.
The main point is that North Korea should understand how strongly the United States and many other council members feel that they should not test this nuclear device, and that if they do test it, it will be a very different world the day after the test.
It's their choice to make. What these firing of the rockets have done is they've isolated themselves further, and that's sad for the people in North Korea.
Australian crocodile hunter Steve Irwin has died during a diving expedition near Port Douglas in Australia.
Well, it's reported the environmentalist was killed after being stabbed by a stingray barb in the chest while filming an underwater documentary on the Great Barrier Reef.
Forget blogging and MySpace. If you really want to stay connected, there is a new service, and supposedly it is the next big thing. It's a name you can't forget. It's called Twitter.
Okay, yep, fine.
Guantanamo prison camp is an aberration under international law. It places people outside the rule of law. And it sends a message to other regimes around the world, like Egypt, like China, that they too can ignore human rights.
Fatah hasn't done anything for us, for our children, she says. Fatah only helps itself, complains another. We want to see what Hamas can do for us. Outside the polling stations, campaign workers, green for Hamas, yellow for Fatah, stand ready to make one last pitch.
If you are just joining us, Anis Rahman reporting Al Arabiya and Al Hurra television, two Arabic language stations. Both are now reporting that Saddam Hussein has been executed. They say that execution took place within the last 10 minutes or so. CNN has not been able to independently confirm that. We are working on doing that, as just about every other network in the world is trying to do at this time.
Britain's second largest home loan provider, Abbey, says it'll now lend couples up to 5 times their salary. It'll only apply to better off couples, and Abbey is not the first. Other smaller lenders have already relaxed their rules on incomes and loan sizes, but it comes as figures this week suggest house prices are rising strongly.
And I think with this dizzying talk of high house prices and high multiples, a lot of people might be inclined to stretch themselves massively, thinking that nothing matters because if anything goes wrong, they can sell the house at a big profit. And I've got a bit of a graph here, which I think is always a good thing to look at. It goes back 30 years, a good long-term graph of what's been happening to house prices. And you see they normally go up, but if you plot the sort of trend line on there, the kind of average over the years, you see that today, at the end of that line, they really are quite high priced, which doesn't mean you shouldn't buy a house, but it means you shouldn't buy one assuming that they're going to go on up and up and up.
Oil prices are up on Chinese plans to increase its energy imports this year. Beijing also said that it will keep policies to ensure stable export growth. However, Brent and its equivalent US benchmark remain well below last week's near 4-year highs. That's because Iran's offer of talks on its nuclear program has eased concerns about supply disruption.
It is an incredibly busy time here in this newsroom as we are all pulling together to cover what is turning out to be the deadliest campus shooting in U.S. history. At this afternoon hour, at least 30 people believed to be killed on the campus of Virginia Tech University. That's in Blacksburg, Virginia, and we are deploying a team of correspondents and anchors for this story.
I think it's a politically hot potato. I believe that we're looking after a group of people who have found themselves in what we now know as a subprime mess. The details are somewhat sketchy, but the essence of it is that we're trying to look after a group of people now who could have a marginal influence on the US economy. And as such, we simply as a society cannot see those scenes that we saw back in the early 1930s where thousands and thousands of people are losing their homes.
How are we going to take this to a mobile device? Well, what we're going to do is get rid of all these buttons and just make a giant screen. A giant screen. And we are calling it iPhone.
News in-depth coverage now on the growing financial crisis. Yesterday, the House rejected the $700 billion bailout plan, sending shockwaves through Wall Street. The bailout plan was voted down 228 to 205. The Dow plunged to a record low yesterday, reaching 777 points and closing the day at 10,365. And that is the largest single-day point loss ever.
President Bush delivered a strong message to Congress. It's time to pass the bailout bill.
For the financial security of every American, Congress must act.
NATO is calling for a halt to fighting in Georgia's South Ossetia region, battling that could draw Russia into a full-scale conflict. Georgia claims Russian jets have bombed Georgian territory near the breakaway province where Georgian troops are in a major offensive against separatists.
Russia's plans are unclear, but both sides have strong political interests in keeping a lid on the violence. Georgia has hopes of joining NATO, and especially right now, Russia would want to avoid conflict in a region so close to its own city of Sochi, which is host to the Winter Olympics in 2014.
Here outside the school, rescuers bring out a survivor from another building. Almost everywhere you turn in Hanwang, buildings look like they've been blown away. This clock has stopped at just before 2:30, the moment the earthquake happened.
Chicago. If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, who still wonders if the dream of our founders is alive in our time, who still questions the power of our democracy, tonight is your answer.
But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
On the basis of available evidence and these expert assessments of the evidence, the scientific criteria for an influenza pandemic have been met.
This is how H1N1 has spread so far. It all began in Mexico, where the virus has claimed more than 100 lives. It then spread to the US with more than 13,000 cases and more than 25 deaths. There's also been unusually large numbers of severe cases among Canada's Inuit population. Chile has the most infections outside North America, with more than 1,500 cases there, worrying because it's the beginning of their winter flu season. H1N1's also moved to Australia, where it's winter too. More than 1,000 cases have been reported there. Scotland is heading into summer. That didn't stop hundreds of cases being confirmed up there. But the most concentrated outbreak of the virus here in Europe is in Germany, where more than 30 people at one school have been infected.
Well, Ofer Gendelman is a spokesperson for the Israeli Foreign Ministry, and he rejoins me live now from Tel Aviv. Ofer Gendelman, I mean, can you just clarify for us what's the military aim of the incursion that we've been hearing about across the border into Gaza?
The aim is to take out Hamas's rocket launchers that have been firing at Israel for the last 8 years. There is a ground incursion going on at the moment. The idea is not to take the Gaza Strip all back again. There is no talk about reoccupation. We are there in order to provide a better life, a normal life for the people in the southern part of Israel.
And liftoff of the Delta II rocket with Kepler on a search for planets in some way like our own.
Vernier engine chamber pressures are building. Grounded solid motors are building at chamber pressure.
Destruction. Many have lost everything in this blitz.
Even by Gaza's standards, this level of destruction is unprecedented. Israel has been bombing this area with some of the most sophisticated weapons in the world over the past 3 weeks, and this is the result. Many people here are just wondering what they hope to have achieved from all of this.
But the very day the Israelis announced their full withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, Rafah's tunnelers got back to work.
Well, the tunnel repair teams are in action and the structural engineers have moved in. They're trying to get things up and running again here in Rafah. Just in behind the green sheeting over there, there's a tunnel which has been completely obliterated by the bombing, and there's buildings all over this area which have been very, very heavily hit by the bombs. But despite this, there are still tunnels here completely unscathed, including this one, which is up and running.
Eric Elliott. I'm an internet developer. I am a Bitcoin miner. Bitcoin is a decentralized cryptocurrency, basically a virtual form of money. Bitcoin is controlled by a software algorithm. In order to control the amount of Bitcoins that are released into the economy, the algorithm determines that there's only so many that are mined during a certain period of time.
The politicians are eager for the G20 to be remembered for big decisions, not mass violence. These pictures will ensure, at the very least, those who oppose the political and financial establishment will have their opinions heard.
So what you are seeing here is the gun camera footage from the Apache helicopter, a US Apache helicopter, circling around New Baghdad. The helicopter was called in to the general vicinity at 9:50 a.m. after there was a reportage of a small arms fire. There's no report in our records of that hitting US troops, and most importantly, there was no positive identification. That is, the location and description of the individual was never established.
When these helicopters were circling, they were repeatedly circled around, so it wasn't just one time around. They have a 30-millimeter rotating cannon on them, which is just a big Gatling gun.
You're clear. All right, firing. Stay line out. Let me know when you get it. Or shoot. Light them all up. 202 traffic, 260. Come on, fire. Hey, Roger. Keep shoot. Keep shoot.
From United Nations Television, this is UN in Action.
At 4:53 in the afternoon of January the 12th, a major earthquake hit the small island nation of Haiti. The impact of the 7.0 magnitude quake, the worst in the region in 200 years, was devastating.
It all began in late 2010 in Tunisia, when a fruit seller, Mohamed Bouazizi, set himself on fire after police took his cart and weighing scale for operating without a license. a radical form of protest which resulted in many people taking to the streets as a cry out against corruption, oppression, and unemployment in their country.
The Arab Spring, the power of social media.
Somebody had to show the outside world what was happening.
The story of people power, moment by moment, hour by hour. The online activist talked to Michel Hussein.
We were so happy we were crying because finally people have been inspired to join us.
So you thought, I need to capture this moment. These are the last moments of someone's life. Pretty shocking.
How Facebook changed the world on BBC World News.
Just think of what this means. Yeah. Almost 10 years since the 9/11 attacks. More than that, since Osama bin Laden has been the head of al-Qaeda. The President of the United States is to walk into the briefing room on a Sunday night and tell the nation that after all this waiting, all this heartache, all this search, all this failure, that the United States government is now convinced that it has the body of Osama bin Laden, and Osama bin Laden is dead.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda.
The White House tonight is accusing the Syrian government of creating a humanitarian crisis after yet another bloody, tense day of fighting. Troops loyal to President Bashar Assad continue to crack down on anti-government demonstrators, and Syrian refugees continue to try to escape into Turkey. Elizabeth Palmer is on the border tonight and has the latest. A warning now, some of the pictures you're about to see are graphic.
Video gradually surfacing online shows the defiance of anti-government demonstrators is escalating, along with the government's resolve to crush them. Yesterday in Al-Qaboun, a suburb of Damascus, protesters were actually baiting Syrian security forces. At first, the troops seemed to hold back, but not for long. The gunmen get into position, some of them kneeling, and open fire.
Japanese engineers marshaled all their remaining tools today in the week-long struggle to prevent a full-blown nuclear disaster. And in Washington, President Obama sought to reassure Americans about the potential for radiation to drift over the U.S.
We do not expect harmful levels of radiation to reach the West Coast, Hawaii, Alaska, or U.S. territories in the Pacific.
This is the closest glimpse yet of the stricken Fukushima nuclear plant. This is the remains of reactor number 3. The core shielding is believed to be cracked. Radioactive steam is clearly escaping from within. But it's the situation obscured by the rubble of building number 4 that's now a cause for international concern. This thick vapour is thought to be rising from a pool where 100 tons of nuclear fuel is stored. 2 nearby are also heating up.
A golden gun, said to be Gaddafi's, is shown as a trophy of victory, as Western leaders also share in the relief that it's now all over.
People in Libya today have an even greater chance after this news of building themselves a strong and democratic future. I'm proud of the role that Britain has played in helping them to bring that about, and I pay tribute to the bravery of the Libyans who've helped to liberate their country.
It's the story that's ignited fierce passions across the nation as allegations of racism and miscarriage of justice tear apart a small Florida town. 3 weeks ago, Trayvon Martin, an unarmed black teenager, was shot down by a white neighborhood watchman who claimed self-defense and has not at this point been arrested. And it's caused a public outcry that spread like wildfire.
I just want to wish, sweetie, you happy anniversary and let you know that a year from now we will not be celebrating it in front of 40 million people.
I'm sure this was the most romantic place you could imagine, here with me.
Tuesday night at the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, a complex and highly dangerous situation. Outside, an anti-American protest. Then, a group of heavily armed militants, approximately 24 of them, launched an attack firing rocket-propelled grenades.
You've most likely seen this video online.
Yeah, a documentary about a guy named Joseph Kony. The video was released by the group called Invisible Children. They're trying to raise awareness about Kony, who's a known warlord in Uganda. He's wanted for international war crimes and has been on the run for nearly a decade. The group is hoping this video will lead to his arrest. Oklahoma Senator Jim Inhofe says we should support the movement.
Right here in Newtown, Connecticut, the site today of a mass shooting, and this time gunfire aimed at elementary school children. We're here in front of the Newtown United Methodist Church, where we've watched people gathering all evening long, as tonight the details are still pouring in. There are 27 victims, 20 children, 7 adults. And we've heard all day about the incredible response by teachers inside the school, which is considered one of the leading schools in the nation.
You see what happened in Colorado recently?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
And that's exactly why I'm here to contact you guys.
It is a constitutional right to openly carry a firearm, but public opposition is growing with recent mass shootings around the U.S.
A big moment in Washington, D.C. as crowds celebrate President Obama's victory. This was the scene outside of the White House. Thousands gathered into the early morning hours, showing their support and their excitement for the re-elected president.
While our journey has been long, we have picked ourselves up. We have fought our way back. And we know in our hearts that for the United States of America, the best is yet to come. 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 The best is yet to come.
The attack appears timed for maximum impact. Just before 2:50 p.m., this is the viewpoint seen by many of the 26,000 marathon runners who are approaching the finish line. The first of the two explosions rocks the sidewalk along the course. White smoke blasting into the air, blowing metal barricades into the street, spewing shrapnel into crowds gathered at the finish.
Our breaking news this evening is the identity of the man who sent the Obama administration into defend and explain mode this week. His name is Edward Snowden. He's an American former CIA employee and computer technician. Today, he came out as the leaker of classified NSA documents that spell out a secret surveillance program.
Good evening. We're beginning with breaking news that we've just confirmed in the newsroom. The U.S. government is bringing criminal charges, including charges of espionage, against Edward Snowden. Snowden, as you will recall, is the former NSA contract employee who exposed two of the government's top secret surveillance programs, one that collected the phone records of millions of Americans and the other that monitored internet traffic.
The World Health Organization has told the BBC that in total, around 100 health workers in West Africa have been infected this year. Half of them have died.
This is the deadliest outbreak of Ebola on record. The latest figures from the World Health Organization show more than 1,200 people have been infected in Guinea, Sierra Leone and Liberia, and around 670 of them have died.
ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, is a terrorist organization few had heard of just a couple of years ago. But out of the chaos of Syria and under the command of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, it's become a fiercely effective force. It's believed to have around 2,500 fighters in Iraq and another 5,000 in Syria, often foreign jihadists some from Britain.
This Islamic State that they have been fighting for is increasingly taking shape across the Syrian-Iraqi borders. ISIS has held territory in Syria for well over a year now. And of course, this month we saw the group advance into some key Iraqi cities, including Mosul. So this Islamic State is increasingly moving from an idea into an actual territory across the Syrian-Iraqi border.
Thanks for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Charlene Aaron.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. Russia's president is moving forward with annexation of Crimea despite growing international pressure against him. Russian troops have occupied the region for 2 weeks. Today, Vladimir Putin approved a draft bill to annex the Crimean Peninsula. And he's set to stake Russia's claim on Crimea in a televised address to both houses of parliament. Meanwhile, Vice President Joe Biden is now in Poland. It is America's latest move to show its resolve against Russia's mounting intervention in Ukraine. Monday, the U.S. and European Union announced asset freezes and other sanctions against Russian and Ukrainian officials involved in the Crimean crisis.
It's unfortunate and painful to have to say that because of the call of this fascist, 2 young Venezuelans died today and another group was badly hurt, some really seriously. I've given clear instructions to our security forces to secure all the major cities of the country, and whoever will try to be violent without permission will be detained. It does not matter who he is or what his name is.
Your cabinet, you said, looks a lot like Canada, and I understand one of the priorities for you was to have a cabinet that was gender balanced. Why was that so important to you?
Because it's 2015.
Hello and welcome to ABC News Sunday. I'm Tamara O'Dine. It's being hailed as an historic agreement and a turning point for the world. After 2 weeks of negotiations, nearly 200 countries committed to a new deal that aims to slow global warming. Temperatures had been projected to rise an estimated 2.7 degrees above pre-industrial levels. Scientists say anything over 2 degrees would have a significant impact on the planet.
Now to the continuing reaction, both pro and con, to the outline of a nuclear deal with Iran reached this week. In a televised address on Friday, Iranian President Hassan Rouhani welcomed the accord and hailed it as the start of a new relationship with the world.
Well, for Israel and for the rest of the world, that matter, these negotiations were always about preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons. But for the Iranians, it was something quite different. They were all about ending its isolation.
Such a deal does not block Iran's path to the bomb. Such a deal paves Iran's path to the bomb.
Benjamin Netanyahu's dislike of that Lausanne deal is echoed in the U.S. House of Representatives among Republicans, which could make ironing out the final details between now and the end of June the hardest part of all.
2 unidentified bodies are found floating in the Mediterranean Sea. They're picked up by the Italian Navy and transferred to a Norwegian ship that can carry out forensic exams. Authorities suspect they're migrants or refugees. Just days earlier, the discovery of 71 dead migrants in an abandoned truck near Austria's border with Hungary. All told, some 2,500 refugees and migrants, most of them from war-torn parts of the Middle East and Africa, have died or gone missing so far this year. The European Union now facing criticism, including from the UN.
I'm horrified and heartbroken
that it has acted too slowly in dealing with the crisis. The president of the European Council responding,
"The European Union cannot and should not be blamed for the migration crisis."
What is Europe doing about the massive number of asylum seekers? It differs on a country-by-country basis, but on a continental level, leaders are still deciding what to do. German Chancellor Angela Merkel is calling for a fair distribution of people across Europe, which would mean changing the current refugee policy. It requires migrants who reach the EU to apply for asylum in the first port of entry. Without a change, Merkel warns, open European borders might need to become less open.
Terror in the heart of Paris. Masked and heavily armed, 2 men entered the building in the centre of the French capital late this morning and began firing. By the time they'd stopped, at least 12 people were dead. Many others were seriously injured. Charlie Hebdo, a satirical magazine, has been attacked before. Just over 3 years ago, its premises were firebombed after it published a caricature of the Prophet Muhammad. The gunmen escaped in a stolen car. They're now being pursued by the police across Paris. John Brain, BBC News.
Well, at 20 minutes to 5, we can now say the decision taken in 1975 by this country to join the common market has been reversed by this referendum to leave the EU.
This will be a victory for real people, a victory for ordinary people, a victory for decent people. We have fought against the multinationals, we fought against the big merchant banks, we fought against big politics, we fought against lies, corruption and deceit, and today honesty, decency and belief in nation, I think now is going to win.
The Syrian army has retaken a village overlooking rebel-held towns around Aleppo, according to state television. It's part of a Russian-supported campaign to cut off the main rebel supply route from Turkey and to recapture insurgent areas in the northern region. One Syrian soldier explained, "We have secured Azaz and Tel Rifat, from where supplies come and foreigners enter. This is a checkpoint between Nablus and Zahra. We now control the road coming from Gaziantep in Turkey that they used to use," he says.
The Republicans better have something pretty special up their sleeve if they're going to try and beat what they did last time.
Donald Trump, just last week, he confirmed to the National Review that he is again considering a run in 2016.
Do it. Do it. Look at me. Do it. I will personally write you a campaign check now on behalf of this country, which does not want you to be president, but which badly wants you to run.
Fox News election alert for you now. We are waiting on several critical states. We have already called Ohio for Donald Trump, as we brought to you moments ago. We are about to make a major call. Fox News Decision Desk is now projecting that Donald Trump has won the state of North Carolina. And that is huge for Donald Trump. This is exactly what he needed to do. Win Ohio, win North Carolina, Florida.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Hello, thank you for coming. I'd like to start by answering the question that's on everyone's mind. Yes, this is real life. This is really happening. On January 20th, I, Donald J. Trump, will become the 45th President of the United States. And then 2 months later, Mike Pence will become the 46th.
North Korea is suspected of conducting its fifth nuclear bomb test after a huge seismic shock was detected near the country's Pyongyang atomic site. Both the US and China recorded a 5.3 magnitude earthquake near the area. In South Korea, the Yonhap news agency described the quake as artificial after officials in Seoul said they believed it was highly likely the North had carried out its most powerful test to date. Reacting to the possible explosion, Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said, "If North Korea did carry out a nuclear test, it's something absolutely inadmissible. We need to and will strongly protest against their actions."
Rohingya refugees continue to flee Myanmar for Bangladesh, despite a deal between both countries to allow them to return home, the UN says. More than 600,000 Rohingya have been driven out of Myanmar since a brutal military offensive began there in August. The UN Refugee Agency says those who have fled show no signs of wanting to return.
Less than a week, the hashtag #MeToo has been used millions of times on social media.
It was aimed at highlighting the number of women who continue to be sexually harassed and victimized across the country. This movement began in 2007, but was reunited by actress Alyssa Milano after recent allegations of sexual misconduct and assault by film mogul Harvey Weinstein. After a New York Times story on Weinstein was published, more than 36 women have accused him of rape, harassment, or assault.
In a matter of seconds, a country music festival turned tragic, a storm of gunfire raining down upon an innocent crowd.
I know, but I have to stand up. He was shooting everybody, and there was dead people everywhere, and I don't even know what was happening. He was just shooting randomly.
The United States has great strength and patience, but if it is forced to defend itself or its allies, we will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea. Rocket Man is on a suicide mission for himself and for his regime. The United States is ready, willing, and able, but hopefully this will not be necessary. That's what the United Nations is all about.
Guys, there's a really cool app that I've been getting into lately called TikTok. Do you guys know that? If you don't have it, download it. It's for your phone. It lets you post. I guess all apps are free. Well, I don't know. This one's not. This one's not only. It's down there. That's what you look for. Whatever that design there. Ignore all this. And just zoom it. That is what you. That's the app there. But anyways, what it is you post short videos of you doing fun stuff like lip syncing to a song or a movie clip or acting out a silly scene with your friends or even your pets. They get involved, and they have. Do you know this TikTok? No. You're going to be addicted. It's great.
Let's head over to Alex in the Cube for more on this. And Alex, just how important has social media been?
Sam, in 2018, we've gone beyond simply fake and real. There is nuance. Real video being shared in the wrong context with misinformation surrounding it, confusing people. So it's not always as simple as fake and real. And that really matters when it comes down to how these protests and the response is being portrayed.
In the Palestinian question. The Palestinian question, it is still a touchy issue in Saudi Arabia.
He was an influential journalist working for a famous American newspaper. But beyond his immediate circle, few people in the United States would have known of Jamal Khashoggi. The extraordinary circumstances of his death, however, instantly made him a household name here. The Khashoggi merger has led to demands for a reassessment of the US's close relationship with Riyadh.
Amazing pictures from space. Elon Musk pulls off an engineering feat. He sent his own kind of rocket man on board a Tesla Roadster into orbit. Elon Musk has outdone himself this time.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
In Hong Kong, pro-democracy protesters took to the streets in the final hours of 2019. The protesters marked more than half a year of widespread demonstrations in the Chinese-ruled city. They formed human chains and organized protests in shopping malls, calling on people to continue the fight for democracy in the new year. Security was also high. Police were on hand, and they did use tear gas to disperse the crowds. This was the first time in a decade that authorities in Hong Kong canceled the popular New Year's fireworks display. They cited security concerns.
We're at breaking news right now. Julian Assange under arrest this morning. UK police say that he is in custody right now in central London. He was arrested at the Ecuadorian embassy in London after Ecuador withdrew its asylum status.
Live from the CBS Bay Area studios, this is KPIX 5 News.
Breaking news, fire ripping through the historic Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris right now. Parts of the global landmark already destroyed. Good afternoon, I'm Michelle Griego.
I'm Kenny Choi. The images are powerful. Flames raging through Notre Dame, crowds of people outside watching the devastating inferno. We want to show you some live pictures from Paris right now. The flames have been tearing through this historic cathedral almost unchecked. Again, these are live pictures as firefighters battle this blaze.
The attacks on 2 mosques in the New Zealand city of Christchurch. 49 people are known to have died.
Dozens more are being treated in hospital for gunshot wounds. Witnesses say at least one gunman opened fire on worshippers at the mosques as they were gathering for Friday prayers. Well, one man in his 20s has been charged with murder. 2 other men and 1 woman were detained in the areas around the mosques, but police have established one at least had no involvement.
It's believed the gunman filmed his attack. Explosives were found attached to vehicles.
It is clear that this can now only be described as a terrorist attack. From what we know, it does appear to have been well planned.
Released by the Pentagon shows U.S. forces advancing toward the hideout of Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. It shows American forces blowing up the compound. What it doesn't show is the moment Baghdadi detonated his explosive vest, and in the words of the U.S. president,
He died after running into a dead-end tunnel, whimpering and crying and screaming all the way. He will never again harm another innocent man, woman, or child. He died like a dog. He died like a coward. The world is now a much safer place. God bless America. Thank you.
Some breaking news right now. Disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein has taken his own life while he was behind bars here in New York City. Epstein was facing sex trafficking charges. NBC News investigative correspondent Tom Winter now has the very latest. Tom, what more do we know?
Peter, what we know now is that at 6:39 this morning, the fire department and EMS here in New York City got a phone call from MCC, which is a federal detention facility here in Manhattan in New York City, where Jeffrey Epstein was being held awaiting trial. They took him to New York's downtown hospital. He was in cardiac arrest, and he was pronounced there. What we know from officials that have been briefed on what happened, he was found and appeared that he had hung himself in his cell or wherever he was being held within MCC, and he was found by prison officials this morning, and that's when they reached out and they called EMS in unsuccessful attempts to revive him.
It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it.
In central China, a man has died following an outbreak of an unknown pneumonia-like virus, which officials say comes from the same family as the deadly SARS virus. Health authorities say that only 40 other people are infected.
But you don't hear them talking about COVID. COVID. To be specific, COVID-19. That name gets further and further away from China as opposed to calling it the Chinese virus.
Good evening. The coronavirus is the biggest threat this country has faced for decades, and this country is not alone. All over the world, we're seeing the devastating impact of this invisible killer. We will beat the coronavirus, and we will beat it together.
And there'll be a lot of death, unfortunately, but a lot less death than if this wasn't done, but there will be death.
We have to have, as a whole country, cooperate and collaborate to make sure these get done. Thank you.
Oh my God. I am never going to financially recover from this.
The killing of George Floyd and other African Americans at the hands of police has protesters taking to the streets in cities from coast to coast. Demonstrations have largely been peaceful, but in Louisville, Kentucky last night, unrest erupted into deadly violence.
Thank you, George Floyd.
for sacrificing your life for justice, for being there to call out to your mom. How heartbreaking was that? Call out for your mom. I can't breathe. But because of you, and because of thousands, millions of people around the world who came out for justice, your name will always be synonymous with justice.
This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
Behind me is one of multiple locations that have been burning in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
So, supposing we hit the body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light, and I think you said that hasn't been checked, but you're going to test it.
Bro, do I have to sue CNN?
I don't know, do you?
They're making shit up. They keep saying I'm taking horse dewormer. I literally got it from a doctor.
The latest surge in COVID-19 cases, driven by the Omicron variant, have pushed many countries to make vaccinations mandatory, a decision that sparked protests worldwide.
Is it possible that your impulse to put a positive spin on things may be giving Americans a false sense of hope?
No, I don't think so.
Misrepresenting the preparedness right now?
No, I don't think so. I think that, I think it's got...
The not yet approved drug?
Such a lovely question. Look, it may work and it may not work. And I agree with the doctor, what he said. May work, may not work. I feel good about it. That's all it is, just a feeling. I'm a smart guy. I feel good about it.
We can now project the winner of the presidential race.
No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch.
All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats, which is what they're doing, and stolen by the fake news media. That's what they've done and what they're doing. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore, and that's what this is all about.
The salvage company hired to free the huge container ship blocking the Suez Canal since Tuesday has warned it may take days or even weeks to move the vessel. The canal is one of the world's busiest trading routes, with more than 10% of global trade passing through.
So the deaths per year are 10 times greater than what we've experienced in the pandemic.
In a new book, How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, Gates outlines all the solutions he believes we need. He says the U.S. has to lead the world getting to zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. He supports President Biden's decision to rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement, but is asking the administration to massively increase the budget for climate and clean energy research to $35 billion a year.
Prosecutors in New Mexico are looking to file new charges against Alec Baldwin in the deadly shooting on the set of the movie Rust. Manslaughter charges against Baldwin were dropped back in April. Prosecutors say they are ready to present new evidence showing that Alec Baldwin does have criminal responsibility for the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins.
The Taliban is in control of Afghanistan. The country's president has fled, and Western countries are scrambling to get people out. And this took the U.S. by surprise.
I did not, nor did anyone else, see a collapse of an army that size in 11 days.
Armchair investors rejoice. GameStop is back at it again. Shares skyrocketed more than 100% on Wednesday, closing at just under $92 a share. And trading of the retailer's stock was even halted twice because of that surge.
Now, this is very different from that short squeeze situation. This is a case where, again, you're seeing those mobs of individual amateur investors, that Reddit group, Wall Street Bets, coming in to buy big. In fact, Reddit at one point yesterday had to shut down temporarily because there was so much traffic on it.
State of Minnesota, County of Hennepin, District Court, 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota plaintiff versus Derek Michael Chauvin, defendant. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:44 p.m.
The world has to come together to bring the COVID pandemic to an end everywhere. And for that to happen, the United States must act, and we must lead.
While developed countries are making strides, inequality continues to build, and the full impact on growth is yet to be felt, with the fate of underdeveloped countries resting on fiscal support from governments, the actions of central banks, and crucially, the distribution of vaccines.
Are you feeling nervous? Are you having fun? It's almost over, it's just begun.
You know how I cook a steak as a real man? I instruct one of my 7 girlfriends. Me, now!
A few moments ago, Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. The palace has just issued this statement. It says the Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon.
Ukrainian soldiers challenged by separatists in a war that's become a way of life since Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014. But fears are growing of a much bigger Russian invasion.
I personally, right now, it looks like Russia will not invade Ukraine, although I might have to eat crow on this, we'll see.
The Russian government can announce today, with no qualification, equivocation, or deflection, that Russia will not invade Ukraine.
Here we go. It started before dawn. Ukraine woke to explosions around the capital, Kiev.
We now have war in Europe on a scale and of a type we thought belonged to history. NATO allies condemn Russia's invasion of Ukraine in the strongest possible terms. It is a blatant violation of international law.
We're back, and the Twitter drama continues. The Bluebird may be having a change of heart when it comes to Elon Musk's bid to buy the social media company. A source close to the matter told CNBC's Twitter board that on Sunday they'd discuss the takeover bid after Musk disclosed he has secured $46.5 billion in financing. The source said the board is also looking for other offers, and the company could provide an update ahead of its latest earnings report on Thursday.
I'm very sorry to have to say this, but it's some breaking news now. According to Japan's national broadcaster, they are reporting that former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has died. So it is an assassination now. He died after being shot earlier today in Naro, Japan. Shinzo Abe was 67 years of age. Very, very young. Very sad. Very sad.
ChatGPT. Maybe you've heard of it. If you haven't, then get ready, because this promises to be the viral sensation that could completely reset how we do things. It is the embryonic version of online artificial intelligence, the early frontrunner that reportedly has just secured a $10 billion shot in the arm from Microsoft.
Thank you for joining us on this Friday night on a day that changed America. We're outside the Supreme Court after the landmark decision that overturned Roe v. Wade and ended a woman's constitutional right to an abortion.
Well, it looks like Elon Musk's $44 billion Twitter takeover is just about a done deal. We expect it to close officially tomorrow, and it looks like he's ready to get to work. Literally. He barged into the social media giant headquarters carrying a sink, tweeting, "Let that sink in." Clever. And today he addressed Twitter advertisers, tweeting this: "The reason I acquired Twitter is because it is important to the future of civilization to have a common digital town square where a wide range of beliefs can be debated in a healthy manner without resorting to violence. There is currently great danger that social media will splinter into far right and far left, creating an echo chamber that generates more hate and divides our society."
I'm done with the classifications. Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
Uh-oh, Richard!
Close.
In southern Turkey, buildings crumble like sand. Obliterated by some of the worst earthquakes in a century.
I just bought this train and it is currently barreling full speed towards that giant pit over there.
We're also crashing countless cars, blowing up thousands of sticks of real dynamite, and even putting 10 jet engines on a car. Just to show you the most insane experiments of all time. Starting with filling a house with over 100,000 fireworks.
Well, for a few minutes on Tuesday, the chipmaker NVIDIA was part of an elite club of US companies worth $1 trillion. The company's share price shot past $412 on Tuesday after rising more than 30% in a week. Other companies that are part of this club are Apple, Amazon and Alphabet.
Defiance, certainly. Defining, no question. The first ever mugshot of an American president. History made and a nation stunned.
As the world debates the military response, 19 days since the worst terror attack in Israeli history, its leaders are trying to frame the stakes, today laying bare the brutality in graphic detail.
But tonight, with global attention turning to the spiraling death toll in Gaza, Israel's military trying to keep the focus on the massacre that sparked the war, inviting NBC News and other journalists to a screening of raw video from the October 7th Hamas terror attack.
This video has only been shown to journalists so far, but many ordinary Israelis are saying it should be made public for the whole world to see.
The 11 judges of the UN's highest legal body, also known as the World Court, concluded that Israel, as the occupying power, violates international law by depriving Palestinians of their basic needs and by using starvation as a weapon of war.
This is Axel Rudakabana on July the 29th, on his way to carry out a knife attack on a class full of young girls. The girls were at a table making friendship bracelets when, without a word, Rudakabana entered and grabbed the child nearest to him. He then moved on to a second and a third, lunging at them. Leanne Lucas, who was running the class that day, said she only realised what was happening when she felt a knife go into her back. B.B. King, Elsie Dott Stancombe and Alice Aguiar died in the attack. 8 other girls were injured. The court heard Rudakabana's only intention that day was to kill.
Riots erupted on the streets of Southport last night following a knife attack on Monday which left 3 girls dead and other young children in a critical condition. Rioters gathered around a mosque not far from the scene of the stabbings. Vehicles were set alight and projectiles thrown at riot police by people believed to be supporters of the English Defence League.
New York City, Columbia University increasing security as pro-Palestinian demonstrators rally against the Israel-Hamas war. The school switching to remote classes, and tonight protests now spreading to campuses across the U.S.
And completely out of touch, and it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
Luigi Nicholas Mangione has been identified as the suspect in the Manhattan killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
Ukraine on Tuesday launched its biggest drone attack to date on Moscow. The 144 drone bombardment killed at least 1 woman near the capital, Russian authorities said, and wrecked dozens of homes.
The first images of a free Syria. Longtime dictator Bashar al-Assad is toppled. Rebel group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham announces the fall of the regime. Entering Damascus after sweeping across the country in only 10 days. We now know Assad fled to Russia that Sunday before sunrise, and that the palace had lied to the Syrian people at 6:58 p.m. the night before he fled, announcing in a statement, Bashar al-Assad is assuming his work from Damascus.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
The president, in a tweet, just announcing that he is offering his full support and endorsement for Kamala Harris to be the nominee of the party. I want to read this full message from him. He says, "My fellow Democrats, I've decided not to accept the nomination, to focus all my energies on my duties as president for the remainder of my term." He says, "Today I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year."
We believe in the promise of America, and we're ready to fight for it. Because when we fight, we win. So join us. Go to KamalaHarris.com and let's get to work.
I'ma keep on running because the winner don't quit on themselves.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. Take a look at what happened.
The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome President-elect Donald J. Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, and the Trump family.
Farmers, many of them French, are filling the streets of Brussels to voice their opposition to the signing of an historic EU-Mercosur agreement.
In some parts of England, everywhere you look, there are St George's and Union Jack flags. So, is this pride or prejudice?
I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff.
Did you see the blowing email? The Trump administration is reportedly getting ready to attack military installations inside Venezuela. That's according to the Wall Street Journal. Comes after a U.S. airstrike took out another alleged drug boat in the Eastern Pacific, killing 4 people on board.
Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Palantir is here to disrupt and, when it's necessary, to scare enemies and, on occasion, kill them.
President Trump held a historic meeting today with Syria's president, Ahmed al-Shattah. He's a former leader of an al-Qaeda-affiliated terrorist group.
U.S. conservative activist Charlie Kirk, co-founder of Turning Point USA, was fatally shot while speaking at Utah Valley University in Orem on Wednesday.
What we have here are a bunch of failing computer systems that are preventing people from receiving their benefits, that are extremely vulnerable to fraud, and we're fixing it.
The president writing on social media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide.
My jeans are blue.
In Japan, one woman tied the knot with her AI-generated boyfriend in a symbolic wedding ceremony.
Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah.
Tim Davie has tonight resigned as Director General of the BBC, along with the CEO of BBC News, Deborah Turness, after a week of criticism of BBC News coverage and allegations of editorial mistakes.
The story here is about Palestine. The story here is how people are being deliberately deprived of the very basic means to survive.
Hamas are offering to release the remaining hostages, dead and alive. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is ordering immediate and powerful strikes on Gaza after the Israeli military says Hamas violated its ceasefire.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said the targets were Hamas leaders who have an office in Qatar.
Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
Israel is preparing for another round of conflict with Iran.
Well, we basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
The Trump administration has announced a major $10 billion arms sale to Taiwan, prompting an angry response from China.
Germany has announced military tests for emergency conscription affecting all 18-year-olds as the country braces for World War III.
Everything is mask off. We're at the end of whatever this thing has been, whatever you want to call it. Democracy, oligarchy, an attempt at representative government. It is mask off. And all of the factions that I'm talking about are fighting for a peace. Good night.